Can we agree that this job isn't for everybody? We make it for everybody.
Yeah.
That's almost the problem.
Listen, I've had many people come to me who want great barbers, but you can always make someone a great barber. You can't make them a great person. If they got the attitude, they turn up on time, they look dapper, you know what? We can make that skill set a lot better.
Yeah, but the repetition is key for us.
It's volume.
We wouldn't have a business without it.
Without volume, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, plastic heads, not my favourite.
Doesn't work.
You know what I mean?
For us, the plastic heads is just the first week or two to learn the layering.
Off you go. Once you start your journey, don't worry, you're going to pass at the end of it, and it's for everybody.
Can I interrupt?
Go for
The
it.
standards of the hair cutting have never been higher. So
Yeah.
what are we discussing here? Fading. Everyone knows how to fade now.
Yeah.
Everyone's starting to learn with scissors now.
I agree and I disagree.
Hi, welcome to the Noble Barber Podcast. I'm Anthony Laban, and we'll be talking to various people in the industry who've made it and their journey and how they got here. Talking honest, cutting through the crap, and making sure your story and their story is heard to help your business and hopefully mine. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi there, welcome to another episode of The Noble Barber. I'm Anthony Laban. We are in different surroundings today. We are in a small office tucked away at the back of Salon International in the giant Excel. We're here today doing our first topic-based panel show, and I'm really excited about this. We have three amazing people to discuss. We're going to go through questions you've asked, questions we've never got round to asking, and ones we maybe have already asked, but hell, let's do it again. We have Phil Jarman. Hi, Phil, from Phil Jarman and Phil Jarman Academy, Master Barber, great bit of cutting. We have Luke Dolan from Luke & Co., another Master Barber. These boys know their stuff. And also West Herts College, where, and again, we're talking education to some degree, so that's great. And then we have Michael Contas, who is the London School of Barbering, which I'm sure we all know. Welcome. Thank you very much, guys, for coming along.
Thanks for having us.
I wanted you all to come in because I think I've had conversations with all of you in the previous life of this podcast, and you got good proper vision and ideas about the industry, whether it is just training Michael and larger. But we all four of us here have a passion for the barbering industry. So I just want to run through our questions and see what everyone's opinions are, really. No trip ups, and I can't trust my memory, so I've got them written down, so apologies. Bear with the old man. First question came in was, how can we balance maintaining high standards in barbering education to grow industry credibility while ensuring that access to education remains inclusive and widely available? Training's changed a lot. So do you want to start us off with that one, Luke?
I'll start off with that, because when I got involved with West Herts, or trying to go into state education, is that I already run like a very small kind of private academy, similar to what Michael's obviously a lot bigger, but doing private courses. And I thought to myself that I wanted to know more about like the whole kind of 360-degree view of what education looks like. And my kind of utopian view that I was looking at was that I wanted that one of my bugbears, my personally being selfish, is that after being in the industry for so long, people still think we're stupid. And that really bugs me, because a lot of us aren't, right? But it's just that we're just seen as just barbers or just hairdressers. You know, that's just been like something it's stuck for a long time. So I went into West Herts, or went to the State College thinking, maybe we should be saying no to more people. Maybe there should be a failure rate. Maybe there should be more pushback, that over a time horizon of 10 years, 20 years, there's just that bit of resistance, rather than just we're like one size fits all. We catch everything. Anything that falls out of education. I remember when I was at school, it'd always be like, oh, we're just going to do hair and beauty.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on that. Just when I worked in a further education college, I was teaching a class of 20-year-old, 16-year-old girls. And perhaps half of them wanted to be there. Yeah. The other half were like, I've just finished school. I can't get into a job. What am I going to do? So the only avenue they've got or the only avenue they think they've got is going into hairdressing. When I was there, I don't know if it's like that for barbering at the moment, where there's no choice.
There lies the issue. It's like you want to be able to help everybody, right? But you can't do that if you're going to have some resistance to say no. Or is there a way of having that?
The another issue you got there is that the colleges need those bums on seats to be able to get the funding.
Money.
So regardless if they want to be in there, they just want to get them through their level 1, for example, so they can get their funding for the level 1.
Yeah.
And if they get that, they can go into the level 2. And if they get the level 2, they actually want to be there, and maybe they want to do a level 3 as well.
Yeah. But that's, if you look at what, with the level 2s, they're almost simplifying them even more now, knowing full well that they won't get work, so they have to come back and do a level 3.
Okay.
You know,
I've not done this, but I mean, are you encouraged to pass them? I mean,
Yes.
if you go, look, I've got 20 kids in my class, 18 of them are just not hitting the grade. I've got 2 superstars that are going to pass.
Well,
would you get binned as a lecturer?
No, you don't get binned as a lecturer, but it becomes almost like your responsibility, or you're obligated to get, if someone's absolutely failing the course with a few weeks to go, you've got to, like, come on, you've got to, let's do it, rather than saying, but should they be on the course in the first place? This is what I mean. I know there's no actual answer to this right now, but it's a conversation that needs to be had between, because I think when I sat on the panel for the City and Guilds, it's that all the people involved in that only see it through a lens of education, and it's that falls down, because when they start talking about employers, they think it's like I said this before. They think they're just walking into perfect jobs, and they don't exist. And it's like suddenly they're trying to create this course which is warm and gooey for everybody. But it's like, where are they going to go afterwards? And they can't, are they going to get a job? Can people afford to pay them? There's so many people out there. It's a minefield.
Let me just quickly butt in, because I'll sit here in the corner all quiet. Talking about standards and talking about education is something obviously that is close to all of our hearts. It's something that we really, really are passionate about. And I've said for many, many years, being a barber educator or being a barber trainer or whatever you want to call it is possibly one of the biggest privileges we could have. Coming from barbering backgrounds or coming from a hairdressing background into barbering, it's a massive privilege. But I think the responsibility is always bigger than the privilege. I think literally there's too many, for me, barber trainers out there at the moment teaching people dumb shit. The responsibility is to give them a start to the future, start to the career that can make a massive difference in their life. I think you're only as good as you're taught sometimes. I know there's a lot of developing they've got to do without that, but it really bugs me at the moment.
But until we get some sort of regulation, some sort of proper standard, our industry stands up and says we want to be legislated, we want to be seen as a craft. So like a kind of corgi gas fair.
Is it going to happen?
I guess you can get good and bad plumbers and good and bad mechanics, but essentially you still have to be able to do that job.
But it's like, what are you going to license and what are you going to regulate? If you look at the American standard, it's literally just blood-borne, like airborne diseases and blood diseases and things like that. It's just keeping people safe. It's got nothing to do with work ethic or standard. You can be rubbish because the market then will not come to you.
Even as a store owner, if you're setting up stores, do you think there's a difference between?
Very quickly, sorry, look, interrupt. I'm going to be on my best behaviour and not interrupt. I think if you're a store owner, I think the standard lies with you. As a store owner, your responsibility to get people in. Listen, I've had many people come to me who want great barbers, but you can always make someone a great barber. You can't make them a great person. So if they've got the attitude, they turn up on time, they look dapper, you know what? We can make that skill set a lot better. So as a store owner, I think it's easier because you are setting the standard, aren't you? You're absolutely setting the standard, and they've got to rise to it. You don't bring it down to them. Sorry, Luke.
No, it's a good point.
But do you all find that you've got students, not wishing to make this all education, but do you find that you've got students that you kind of meet almost day one, that you're like, oh yeah, you got something, and then by day 30, you're still in the game, and equally the other side that you meet ones and you're like, you're only here because you've got nothing. You've got no other idea.
It's the thing. Going back to the first point, it's like, Michael probably sees all the time that people come through his academy. Is this, can we agree that this job isn't for everybody? We make it for everybody.
Yeah.
That's almost the problem. It's not, because you probably find out of an academy course, you might find one.
I don't have that many issues. I do get the odd 16 to 18-year-old that's had their course paid by their parents or someone else, that their heart's not in it. But anyone that's paid for it themselves, they're there, they're dedicated, they want to do really well. So I don't have much of a problem having to, get people alert and focused to come out the course with flying colours. They're paying a lot of money to do the course, so they are incentivized to do really well.
Yeah, but with private courses, there's no endpoint assessment, though, is there?
There is no endpoint assessment. You get that with VRQs, but with MVQs, there is
because it's privately paid, unless you do it yourself.
Yeah, but with
things like that. Well, I was really surprised with the private course when I was running one, and I was getting near the end thinking, look, well, how about the test and all the rest of it? Because it was run by, we had an external verifier and somebody else that sort of was a partner of the academy. And then that's when they said there's no end point, there's no test. I'm like, what do you mean there's no test? Which I thought was a bit baffling. I was like, what, you mean that everyone passes? That's what I mean. It's just, all I'm saying is there's got to be some little, not like a barrier, just a slight hurdle that they need to jump. But it's like, off you go. Once you start your journey, don't worry, you're going to pass at the end of it, and it's for everybody. And that's where you end up with oversaturated high streets. There's not enough footfall to even train a junior barber, because there's no one walking through your door because you've got 20 or 30 on your shop on your high street.
Interrupt?
Go for
the
it.
Standards of the haircutting have never been higher. But
Yeah.
What are we discussing here? Because the fading, everyone knows how to fade now.
Yeah.
Everyone's starting to learn with scissors now.
I agree and I disagree.
Go on.
Okay, I agree. I think the industry's never been so big. A lot of people are saying the industry's booming. I look at it as a slight false economy, because a lot of the barbers I'm meeting, they can do fantastic fades. But if you can do a great fade, it doesn't make you a great barber. There's so many other faculties to being that all-round barber that are super important that I think are being missed, especially with a lot of colleges. Don't get me wrong, there's some colleges doing a fantastic job. There's some colleges that aren't doing a fantastic job because there's a lot of hairdressers teaching barbering. Massive bugbear for me. If you can't scissor over comb, scissor over comb is one of the most simple barber techniques that's been going 38 years when I first started. And there's a lot of people teaching a million sections now. Barbering, I'm not just saying it's got to be traditional, but simple for yourself. I know there's a lot of apprentices now that are dropping out after 6 months because they're not enjoying it. They're not enjoying it because they're not very good at it. And it's their fault.
Where are these apprentices? Are we talking about in college or in the barbershops?
In the barbershops,
Because if you're not cutting hair, you're not going to enjoy it.
Exactly. You've got to be in amongst
You
it.
need to be
Totally.
taught, and you need to have your own supply of models or have them supplied for you.
Definitely.
To have that, to see your progression.
Yeah.
If you can see your progression, you think, oh, I'm actually doing really well.
I think it's
I've
the
done
thing.
like 10 fades now. I'm getting better with every one.
Practice is definitely, if you're pointing in the right direction, practice is everything. And that's one thing I commend about you guys. You have way over 100 people, don't you, coming in for each student. Is that correct?
Yeah, over 100.
Yeah,
If they take the
it's
12-week
amazing.
course, it's over 100.
Fantastic.
If you do the 9-week, it's slightly under 100. Yeah, but the repetition is key for us.
Was volume.
We wouldn't have a business without it.
Without volume, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, plastic heads, not my favourite.
Doesn't work.
You know what I mean?
For us, the plastic heads is just the first week or two to learn the layering. The layering is important.
And especially with clients on a day-to-day basis, real clients have got double crowns, cowslick, swirls in the back of the head. If you're using a plastic doll, I mean, sometimes they come in handy if you can't get a model, but at the end of the day, you really need live
At the
people.
start,
And
I honestly
plastic
applaud
dummies
you
are
for
really
that.
well
Thank you.
behaved, and clients can be a pain in the arse moving, getting out.
Well,
of the way.
some of them plastic
I think-
dummies, they slide up and down the pole, they get in the head, they can't move their head.
interesting to
Yeah.
be going round though. I mean, there's kind of an annoying amount of agreement around the room. But do you think the expectation of the store holders is too much? Because you walk around. I've just walked down on that floor out there and run into so many people who've patted me on the back and shake my hand and and taking a picture with me, loving the podcast, and young, and they're all, I feel like Grandpa Joe out there, man.
How old are you? How young are you?
These are all these kids out there who are out and in the industry. When I started coming to Salon International, there wasn't barbering here.
Yeah,
is the expectation that everyone's going to walk in as a master barber rather than, oh, you're good, let's work with you?
Well,
is that the problem?
I still say I'm in the 38th year of my apprenticeship. I still think we're always learning, but I do think it's great that if guys can go on courses, 12-week courses, and it gives them an introduction to barbering, but I think they're going to learn once they get on the shop floor.
Yeah, they need to go.
They need to be in amongst it. They need to be cutting hair.
Because the haircut, like Michael, is handling, volume. It's all about getting them all those fundamentals and being able to have the confidence to, if they go into a shop, someone sits in their chair, they can carry out something. From the shop, it's up to us to make sure that they're, because we know that after you've cut the person's hair once or twice, it's all about you and not the haircut, right? So then it becomes service. And then that's up to us to instill how we do that. That should be like shop directed rather. I think what I found from education wise is that people, especially in state education, that there would be salons asking or telling their friends who are at the school, can you train them to be better behind the desk? Or doing this other thing. You're like, well, you want us to train your employee so you can just go and employ them, at that kind of level when that's your job. We're here to give them a skill set. Yeah. The rest of it, customer service, we can give them a little bit of like what it's like, but this is us. We're trying to give you technical ability.
So that leads us into more. So is the problem that not actually that many stores are
I think it's just too many stores.
Most of the stores are self-employed chair rental spaces. Is that the problem, that they're not ready to walk straight behind a chair and build up a clientele?
There's a lot in that statement that we could probably digest. I think the rent-a-chair thing is a separate issue.
But if you're walking into most of these stores, you're presumably looking for someone who is going to employ or commission or something to support you into being a more established barber.
Yeah, but is that what they're thinking? I from the group of 17-year-olds, and Michael might see this from dealing with kids, is that they have too much information now through social media. They just know too much.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, no one told us when we first started, just get a decent skill set, build up a social media profile as if that's your own shop front, and go and rent a chair for as cheap as you can. And that's how you make money. You actually make more money doing that than you would owning a shop. And it's that piece of information they're getting 20 years too early.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that annoys me. It's like that genie's out of the bottle now. So where does that leave the industry in 10 years' time? I don't know, is the honest answer. But no one will have a shop because they won't see the point. Because we were oversaturated, there's not enough money for you to actually... We've talked about this with rising prices and now VAT thresholds staying where they are. People aren't ready. They can't engulf the VAT and tax system and get out the other end with the revenue. They just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've all been kicking around the industry for a long, long time, and it actually saddens me sometimes when I look at it as a whole, how diluted the industry is with the absolute mass of barbershops on the high street. Most of these barbershops have got one or two barbers in them. They haven't even got any more than that. What's really, really, really getting my goat at the moment, though, and it's happened a lot of towns. I mean, I'm all over the country doing my education, and I see a lot of barbers. I speak to a lot of barbers. I like to think I'm a barber's barber when I'm still in amongst it and I'm still active. But, there's some people who go on the fast-track courses, and there's nothing against the fast-track courses, but what is beginning to happen now, when they're opening their own shop, they're on their own, they're opening their own shop, which is fantastic. It's got to be applauded. But then they're going to train someone when they've only been maybe qualified for 6 months, and it's diluting the pure barbering. So I'm an old-fashioned guy who loves perfection, pure barbering. I know we're not going to get perfection straight away. It's something you've got to work towards. But when you are teaching, when the educator, when I was saying about the privilege and the responsibility, it's a massive responsibility to teach someone. And if you are not actually that far done yourself and you're teaching someone else, it's diluting it even more. Quick thing, walking around here, very similar to walking around Barber Connect. I love trade shows, but I call them a festival of skin fades. Yeah. I call them a festival of skin fades because there's not one stall that I've been to today or even at Barber Connect, or even last year. By the way, I love these shows, but I'm fed up of seeing people holding the head and skin fading. I'm not seeing any other barber techniques. That is a big problem for me.
Well, we can't dictate fashion though, can we? At
can't.
the moment, because the fashion is so strong with the fades, and I can't wait till scissors come back. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you, because like you can teach a monkey how to fade. I'm sorry, but the scissors are way more harder.
Love it.
Way more technical, and you know, for me, the aesthetic is something
But
to
I
behold.
think we can't be sheep though. I think we've got to be the guys going out there. I mean, I'm cutting hair later today and I'm cutting hair tomorrow. I'm looking around for some people with hair. I want to show people how to razor cut, how to take the bulk away, how to scissor over comb, how to create shape. And then I'm getting my clippers out and I'm going to do a lovely little taper through the back, freehand. I cannot wait to show people all of these techniques that is going to make your job enjoyable, have customer retention, make more money, and just all round enjoy your job.
But market forces is that you could probably say that skin fades are what a part of the resurgence or the growth in this industry.
Very good point.
Because without them, they've been coming back every 2 weeks, which means you're making more revenue, whether love them or hate them. They're customers that if you give a good skin fade to one guy, he's obviously going to tell all of his mates down the pub. Then they might come back. So I'm with you. I'm a hairdresser trainer. I love using scissors, and my favourite haircut's a taper. I've just done one on the thing. I love it. Love them. And I've got that old 1920s Bible book that was written, and all the drawings are all like smudged drawing, and I try and make them look the same. It's beautiful. But skin fades bring money.
Skin fades are basically a short back in size, though, you know, from obviously go back in the day. I mean, that's what they are.
Basically
I mean,
what it is, yeah.
but I think,
You're on the cusp of ruining it. Half the industry are going to go past now.
No,
Short
true.
back and size.
well, basically, that's what it is, isn't it?
I love that.
It's a short back in size. Some people do it slightly different to others.
That's true, but I
the
do
bottom
love
line
it.
is, it is a short back in
Well,
size.
we've got the technology to thank for that as well, right?
Yeah,
'Cause the technology has come very far.
Some of the clipper brands are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's stop ourselves there, boys. So I think we covered that well. I think we sadly got to the point where we realised there's not an answer for it, and we're still a little bit on the roller coaster to see where we end up.
I think we're in agreement. I think the nuance is how do you welcome everybody but make it slightly more difficult? And somewhere during that period, there just has to be a barrier, which could actually lead to licensing. You know what I mean? That could be an extra barrier that you have to do this for your license. You know what I mean? There's like an extra thing during the course. Then over time, you know, you could license everybody and we could do it ourselves without being forced by the government.
But, you know, I mean, I trained as an all-rounder, if you like. So my background is hairdressing, but when I trained a couple of thousand years ago, you also trained as a barber and a technician, and then you chose to kind of prioritise or specialise. But, you know, I spent probably about 9 months a year doing all my colour work and chemical and perming and all that kind of stuff. And then I did probably eight months that was very focused on ladies cutting.
Yeah.
And my gents was probably only about 4 months worth of work.
Well, do you remember
but my gents was always left at the end. So you had to have done all your colour work, and then you were working as a colourist. You then did ladies' work, so you were styling and so on. And then you had 4 months. So you probably, I'll be honest, I probably wasn't managing to do 100 haircuts in my 4 months of doing a salon industry apprenticeship. But I'd done the legwork for 18 months, 20 months beforehand of handling hair and handling scissors, I guess. But I spoke before coming here today. I thought I'd talk to a few hairdressers, because it always bugs me that hairdressers charge like double barbers quite comfortably. Charge 60 quid a haircut. And I rang in several up who are above 60 quid. So the cheapest was £60, and asked them if a client came in to do a skin fade, do they think they could do a really good job, or would you encourage them to go around the corner to one of the barbers?
Great question.
And every single one of them said, I don't use clippers very much.
Yeah.
So every one of them said I would turn away,
And that's a
up
£60,
to 120
£60
quid.
haircut.
So one of these is 120. Starting point was 60. Would turn them away, because as hairdressers we don't cover clipper work. I don't know what that means. I don't think about what I'm saying before I start. But it just felt it was something to contribute. And it is interesting that actually when we're talking about your 12-week course, 100 haircuts, it's quite a lot of hairdressing going.
You know, one of the most popular courses I do is actually hairdressers to barbering. It's a bit of a transitional course, you know, and I'm trying to let hairdressers understand that barbering's actually quite simple. Don't be scared of the clippers, you know. I showed them how to remove the bulk and fade down. I showed them the simple way to do it. And I love it when I'm teaching, especially on stage. A lot of people say, oh, you make it look simple. Simple. You know, if you watch a great tradesman, I always say, like a paint and decorate, a gloss on the door, I mean, they make it look so simple. I've tried it and it's an absolute mess. Dribbles running down the whole shebang, but it is quite simple. But hairdressers, barbering.
Yeah, it's simple when you know though, mate. If you watch Strictly
That's
on
what we're here
Ice.
for.
But also, getting back to but they still charge 3 times more what the barbers
It's
do.
incredible.
That's what I'm interested
But why is that? Why are people prepared to pay that?
Is the blow dry difficult? Because when I was hairdressing, I felt that I was getting my money. I was getting paid for the blow dry because the blow dry took time. It took, you know, you
Time
had to
is money,
set
isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, the finish is everything, especially for a lady. And for me, I feel like I was never that great at blow drying. That's why one of the reasons I moved into barbering. Yeah, but I feel like part of it is just because they have to put that extra effort into blow drying, which is laborious. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I did question them, and really, I think the big fundamental is there's not a lot. That's not a big part of their business. You know, the gents isn't such a big part of their business.
Then they're still charging that much money. I just think it's people when they go to a salon, for instance, it's just maybe they believe that there is more value. That they're getting the hair shampooed. There's a bit more time that they're in there. It's a bit more scissor work. Is
coffee.
But
Get a glass of wine.
as Marcus said in his first about the first answer, he was saying that skill sets have gone up. So then it's like, well, where are we going to be in 5 years? Maybe barbershops become salons. That technical ability is going to be where service is where they're going to differentiate from others.
Well, that takes us to the next question because I don't want to ruin all my questions here.
Sorry,
I do like this. I do like playing my question master. But what are your predictions? Looking at the high street in the next 5 years, we go forward 5 years. There certainly seems to be problems and challenges. What challenges do you guys foresee coming into the industry over the next 5 years?
Can I start this
Yeah,
way?
please do.
So, very controversial, but I think there's going to be barbershops closing down or not opening up, and people are going to be more mobile. You're going to see more of these mobile apps become more popular.
Not controversial. That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, some people might like it because they might see it as a threat, but it is a real threat. And like Deliveroo, you're going to have a Barberoo soon. And you're gonna.
I think the mobile. You're right. There was that during COVID. There was that app called Trim It that made a massive play, and they had vans and stuff like that. But that's gone.
Yeah.
That didn't last because driving around doing mobile is your prices have got to be double because you've got logistics, you've got wear and tear for the vehicle that you're on and things like that. So if that's built in, then there may be some money in it. But I still think, I think the high street, there is too many on a high street. Like on my high street, there is 14 barbershops to go and get a haircut. That's, and if you're in the middle of a high street, if there's parking at the other ends, they've got to walk past 5 of you before they get to you. So you can make yourself as good, but social media isn't just like, the odd one. Everyone's got it now. Yeah. So I think there's people going to a studio or more rentable spaces. So a triple shop with 50 chairs in it that's rented out cheaper is where like a WeWork for barbering and stylists in general or all creatives is possibility. Because there's not enough money in shops. Because the landlords are putting their prices up, inflation is here, everything is just going up. Clippers are going up, products are going up. And hair prices are going up and cut prices, but VAT stays exactly where it is. And no one is built, unless you are charging £50 to £60 for a haircut, you cannot afford VAT. You can't.
Yeah.
Fact. So if you're not phasing your brand, as everyone likes to call their shop nowadays, once you get past 90 grand, you've got to be getting close to, if you're only charging 25 quid, you're never going to get there.
You know, I agree with both of you. Unbelievably, we all agree on the same subject. I do think barbershops are going to decline. I think there's going to be less and less. I think the strong are going to keep strong and the weak are going to get weak. And I tell you what, this is what I always say. Everyone say the industry's booming. It is as far as number of barbershops. But I think the quality is, the quality ones are definitely going to keep going. And I do think there's going to be a lot more mobile guys now because they can't afford the rates, they can't afford the rents. I mean, how many times you pass by a barbershop, there's maybe one person in there cutting hair, and then maybe one person sitting waiting.
It's frightening.
It can't go on for much longer.
But here's a question: it's like, have we, like what I just said about the 17-year-olds having the information of like, just go and rent a chair and you can earn more money than people that own a shop, right? That piece of information negates 20 years worth of career. Yep. So with that in mind, it's like, I've forgotten where I was going to go with that though. But that piece of information, it's, of course, it's going to see the demise of things, right? That's why I say that shops will have to start, if you're going to be a brand and stay around on a shop at High Street a lot longer, you're going to have to do perming, colouring, more technical work. You're going to have to maybe bring in stylists and things like that.
One quick thing as well, I think salons have got a massive advantage over a lot of barbershops. That is the way they treat people. Okay, there's so many bad barbershops with stinking etiquette. It really bugs me. There's so many things that bug me at the moment. So many. But, you know, the service, I'm all about the customer delight. And I think if you go into a unisex salon, if you're allowed to call it that these days, or a salon that does men and women or all sorts of people, I think the service is fantastic. I think, you know, the coffee, the tea, the glass of wine, I mean, and that's why I think they can charge a little bit more.
Do you think if salons started to skin fade and taper like they do in a barbershop, do you think that's the end of the barbershop?
Well, I think the end of the barbershop's not far around the corner anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. But I really, really think that we've got a lot to learn from the ladies' hairdressing industry because their standards are always quite high.
Because their prices are high.
Do we not believe that we're worth it, men?
Yeah.
Is it that we don't deserve it?
I think the fact that we got so many people cutting hair now, so many different. I mean, listen, I'm a consultant for a massive barber brand. They've got 300 barbers. Some of the shops are fantastic. I'm actually, one of my jobs is head of standards. And the reason is because if they open a brand new salon, they've just opened one in London recently, when you do the interviews, you've got people coming from all different barbershops, loads of bad habits coming in from all over. So my role is basically to say, right, this is the standard of the company, and this is where you've got to be. This is how you fold your gown after a haircut. This is how you take someone's jacket. Because, do you know, all of these barbers coming, they could be good at cutting hair, but they've got so many bad habits, scrunching the gown up, chucking it, not sweeping up, not keeping the section clean. There's so much more of this coming from different barbershops. And do you know what? That has got to stop. And do you know what? If it doesn't stop, if you don't look after your customer someone else with, when you come into that salon, the place is a shithole. Are you really want to go back? So,
welcome to the Noble Barber Podcast. We're always looking for interesting people and interesting stories. If you know someone or you are someone with a great story that you want to share, get in touch and come join me on the sofa. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the episode and we'll see you next time.